Privyet, it's Influx, and welcome back to level 25. I'm joined this week by Dawnvenure. Dawn, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm all right. It's been a pretty long weekend here. We just had a snowstorm, and so I've just been spending my time inside rather than doing outside chores, which
Yeah,
is gonna bite me in the butt eventually. So,
man, I'm a little jealous. Here in sunny Kansas City, it's been like 60 degrees Fahrenheit all week. I've been like walking around in shorts. I want my white Christmas, man. So, Dawn, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where do you come from with Dr. Mario?
so listening to the previous podcast, everyone always has these like Dr. Mario heroes and like who inspired them, what really got them into this. But for me, I come from a different background. I play a lot of randomizers. I play a lot of Link to the Past randomizers specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And so uh, last year we joined the ALTTPR league, and we just went through the list of people who put their names in a hat, like, "Hey, this is the free agency. We would like to join a team." And me and my buddy saw a person named Leviticus, and it's like,
Oh,
"Oh, he's pretty high up on the ladder. We'll go ahead and message him. We're not sure if he'd even join us. He might got offers from other teams because he is a really good player." And so we contacted him. He's like, "Yeah, I'll join you up with you guys. You guys seem good." Afterwards, I'm like, "All right, I don't really know this guy very well, so I might as well just lurk on his streams once in a while, talk, try and support him
mm-hmm.
as a teammate would do." And then he's playing Dr. Mario. And so I'm like, "All right, this is kind of interesting." In a way, Dr. Mario is a randomizer. You get randomized pill sequences. Well, obviously, there's a specific sequence for every level, but whatever. So there's randomized pill sequences, randomized viruses, and you just got to clear it as fast as you can. So once again, it's a lot of things that I'm already doing. So it was kind of interesting to me watching it. And so I was like, all right, I guess I'll try and practice a little bit, put my name in for the monthlies, and not knowing that everyone just qualifies as late as possible, it seems like. So I'm like, oh, there's only like six people in this tournament. I guess I'll play too. And then suddenly I'm knocked out because 10 other people suddenly do their qualifiers.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very interesting non-traditional Dr. Mario story. No Dr. Mario moms involved. Um, I feel like you're also an untraditional player with your keyboard.
Part of that is just so when I first started playing, I was using the controller at first, but what was happening was it was turboing or something. Like I was pressing the button and it was flipping like 20, 30 times per second. Like it was
Oh dang.
insane. There's So I can only flip it one way for it to actually work properly. If I flipped it the other way, then it turns out like it was like mapped to two different buttons or something. So when I was pressing it, it was like trying to hit two different buttons at once. So it was flip flopping between the two.
Huh.
So I eventually got that figured out. But at that point, I was already good enough with the keyboard to not use the controller.
Well, I know that there are a couple of people who maintain that the keyboard is actually superior to controllers anyway. I kind of think that there might be an advantage too, because with the NES controller, like the D pad is one plastic piece, and so frequently when I'm pressing down, my finger will slip a little bit to the left or right, and I'll get a mistap and end up misdropping a pill somewhere. But having a keyboard with segmented keys uh, definitely has some appeal to me.
Yeah, so I ended up getting the Super Nintendo version of Dr. Mario, partly because watching just the mole, he's loving that version.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else, it's the fixed RNG, it's faster, everything is just so much better. For me, I was like, all right, Watchma came from Super Nintendo and came to the NES, and he's just tearing it up. There has to be some sort of correlation between playing the Super Nintendo version and being good at the NES version. So I ended up buying it, and I got to get used to the controller. Like I said, I don't really use it ever.
Yeah.
The faster thing, like put me in a time chamber and just speed up my decision making. Just try to improve that much faster playing that version. But with the controller, uh, I went back to playing the NES version with a controller now that I'm used to it playing the Nintendo version, and I can tell the difference. The pills actually kind of feel like you have more control with a controller, but at the same time, they also feel a bit floaty,
Hmm.
if that makes sense. Like if you're using the keyboard, it's very mechanical. When you press the button, you know what's going to happen. With the controller, when you're moving the pills around left and right, like as you said, when you're pressing down or like trying to down and left, down and right, it kind of feels like it's moving like a feather in the wind. You know, you just drop a feather down, it starts floating down.
Another source of RNG almost. Will it? Will the controller actually pick up my inputs?
But yeah, like at the same time though, like that floatiness kind of gives like you a nice feel. Like once you're used to that, you can actually start moving the pill how you want it to float. And it just kind of feels better using the controller. So I might end up practicing with the controller some more and seeing how my times compare. I know there's been a few times where I've actually swapped over from the Super Nintendo version to the NES, and my times were actually kind of equivalent
Oh,
to using the
nice.
keyboard.
I would love to get some more practice in with keyboard, but I'm a little bit purist. Not nearly to the level of your Chris Bidwells, but I do love having a box on my shelf and playing with a box in my hands. So you were voted the most improved player of 2021 by the community. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. That was actually something I was kind of gunning for throughout the year. Like, I know that there's some awards. I'm like, is there a most improved player? Because I'm gonna get that.
And I feel like we were able to see the fruits of that labor in your silver bracket performance over the weekend. Um, you finished a finalist. How do you feel about your performance? Do you think you were doing your best showing?
So, like, even in the last game, not gonna like put any spoilers, but in the last game, I did uh get a PB, and so I'd probably say I overperformed in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
But all the way through the tournament, I've been whenever they say 3, 2, 1 silver, I have my game on my other screen. I'm just listening to the commentary on one side, playing my own game as if I'm playing against both of these people.
Mm-hmm.
And so on the top side of the bracket, you have uh,
It
on the
was
top side of the bracket you have John Nash the fourth, and the first round I would have split 1-1. Uh, on the next on the bracket would be the Dave versus Ook, and I would have went 0-2. I would have lost in the first round if I was on that side.
oh man.
So at that point, I'm kind of getting scared. I'm like, this is getting more difficult. Like people had predictions, and I was a favorite to go all the way. I feel, and so I think in round one, I ended up dropping the first game or the second one. I don't remember, but either way, like at that point, I'm still scared out of my mind. Like
Mm-hmm.
going from the monthlies where I kind of don't really have as high expectations for myself,
Yeah.
just because I know everyone there is just so good now. Where I can't be like, all right, I should get this majority of the time. Like, I'm still scared. Like, I'm trembling. Like sometimes I just want to like get up, take a breather, come back. But at the same time, it's like I gotta just stay in this competitive mindset
Mm-hmm.
and just keep pushing forward. And once it's done, that's where the GGs come in.
So, uh, I think it's true for both brackets that some people are more motivated to win, and others are more content to simply participate. You mentioned that in the gold bracket, which you've competed in a couple of times already, um, you didn't have as high expectations, but in the silver, you were able to go all the way to the finals. Do you prefer one of those experiences?
I think going just as far in the silver uh, probably feels just as rewarding as winning the first round in gold. Just because I kind of expected to do better in
Mm,
silver, and so because my expectations for myself were set higher in silver, I didn't get as much satisfaction about each win. Like it's great. It's like yeah, I get to keep moving, I keep playing on, and try and prove, to everyone and to myself that I am one of the most improved players, and people during the weekly checkup, if they see my name, that they can't really expect a free win anymore. When I first started playing, like, getting sub 20s for 0 through 10 was like a pipe dream.
Yeah.
Then the goal is sub 18, and now I think my average is something like 15 minutes. Like
Nice.
a year ago, I wouldn't have expected that from myself.
Yeah. So
Actually, my average for 0 through 10 is 14 and a half minutes. So that's even better than I expected.
yeah, you're definitely getting down there. So you're definitely one of the more competitive players who sets goals and wants to, beat out the competition.
Wouldn't really say that. I mostly compare against myself. I compare against my average
Mm.
because I just want that average number to go down. Because obviously, if your average is going down, that means you're improving. But at the same time, like weekly checkup, I do. There's people that you would love to see to beat. Like if I ever beat Floyd, if I ever beat Packy, which hasn't happened yet, uh, I'd be way more satisfied just because I know those players are some of the greats. Like when I was first started, it's like trying to beat Leviticus, trying to beat Sarah, trying to beat Savage. Like any of these names, like I said, I felt like I was a free win, and that you expected me to be at the bottom of the weekly checkup every week. So I'm just happy comparing myself against other people, and if I beat them once in a while, then that's just proves how much better I gotten over time.
Yeah. Well, it was really fun having the silver bracket and getting to see more of your rainbow keyboard and more of your gameplay. It is a real shame that uh, players who are eliminated round one every month we only get to see them for a total of like 15 minutes, and then the rest of their gameplay kind of goes unnoticed. So I think this silver bracket was its launch was a success, and I think that it will definitely help players improve even further and make their way to gold.
Yeah, I believe that too. It really gets to showcase all these other people that you really want to root for, the people you like, you see in the community, just stopping by your stream, saying good luck, have fun, and you just really want to pull for them too. Like obviously, you might have your favorites. Like uh, when I started playing, I'm like, I don't know who this dimwit guy is, but I'm just gonna start calling him Dadwin and start rooting for my dad. I want him to win. But then, like, once I started learning other people, I'm like, I want this person to win. I want that person to win. And yeah, with silver, you get to see twice as many players, twice as many people to root for, more people shining where they couldn't shine before.
Yeah, and it's only fair too. We've got the top 16 each month who are getting their time in the spotlight, but with this silver bracket, I know a few of the players and on commentary and off commentary were saying that it's nice to just be able to take a break and watch other people play Dr. Mario, and support the other half of the community. It makes you wonder though how long the silver bracket will still feel free. I mean, we don't have enough players to fill out the silver bracket yet, even, but uh, the gold bracket is getting more and more competitive. You need a solid 16, it looks like, to qualify month to month. Uh, Maybe the day is not too far off when the silver bracket will be full up of that.
It kind of already is a little bit, with already like what 5 players or so that's able to do that.
Yeah,
Even if not consistently, they're still possible for like almost half the players in the silver bracket to even hit 16 in the qualifiers, which is kind of insane.
yeah,
But I'm just hoping more people join up and, taking a crack at it. If, they felt they can't compete in the gold bracket, if they, at least have a little bit of fun doing the silver bracket. That's, like I said, when I first started playing, that was my goal, was just be in the bracket at all. Just be there to increase someone else's enjoyment.
yeah. And heck, you were not far off from the gold bracket. Um, the bottom four of the gold bracket for this end of year tournament all had 0 points and were based off of a tiebreaker for clear rate. You were 300ths of a second off on that clear rate from being the last gold player. So for the gold bracket, that's coming up this weekend. Who do you got?
Well, I gotta support Frank. If you look at his standing, he has never lost ever.
Nope.
Like he drops a game here and there, but it's always a win for him. He's my favorite to win right now.
Yeah, I'm curious about that too. You know, he hasn't dropped a game. I say that he is probably the most fearsome competitor of the bunch. But I mean, these other names are no slouches either. We've got Dimwit, Packy, Floyd, uh, each with wins in the tournament, and you know, if they could do it before, they can do it again. I assume.
What's also like interesting for me, like looking at the bracket, the on the other half, because obviously if I choose one person on one half, I have to root for someone on the other half
Mm,
to make it to the end. It's just as hard looking at it because you have like Dimwit, Influx, uh, Swang, Leviticus, Floyd, like all these people, like on any given day can just be any of the other ones, and it's nuts.
yeah, not that hard to choose who to root for on that half, though, right? Feels like there's a clear answer, and it starts with an N, ends with a flux. I'm very nervous for sure. I mean, I have the potential of meeting Dimwit round two, if I can even make it through Chris Bidwell round one. Uh, these are certainly very thin margins that we're operating on, and uh, it's gonna come down to, you know, who is the most consistent player and who can really show up and turn it on for the weekend.
Yeah, and like everyone says that round one is kind of like the most volatile, being 6 through 9, where
Mm-hmm.
it can be a little bit more RNG heavy, where the longer sets kind of favor the person with better skill. And so once again, it's really hard to choose who's gonna win round one.
So, do you have any upsets for round one?
Let
Tough
me
to
look
call
at
them upsets too. You know, when we've got Leviticus and Swang, I feel like those
All right.
players, five seed Leviticus, 12 seed Swang, but Swang has just been um, another player who's improved incredibly. And you know, if he were to take down Leviticus, I wouldn't even call that an upset.
Yeah, he's been looking really strong. I know he does a lot more 0 through 10, so it's actually once again may just favor the player that for 6 through 9.
Mm.
Uh, I know for myself, I run strictly like 0 through 10s, not because I can't do 0 through 20s, but mostly because uh, I'm always like waiting, like just in case someone wants to message me, so I can respond back right away. Just try and keep my schedule open,
Yeah,
even if I do end up running like 10 0 through 10s. You know, just having that extra time, knowing that I do have that freedom to get up and go. But yeah, like Swang beating Leviticus is not something I'd be surprised about. And guess like on the other side of the bracket, uh DM Hero or like Sarah upsetting as well. I honestly wouldn't be too surprised if Ibar was able to upset Frank. Like he's also been looking really good.
yeah, yeah, for sure. It a lot rides on this month. You know, I mean, every month taking the crown is a joy. Not that I would know, but uh, you know, the winner of this month gets to say that they are the 2021 champion, and uh, I mean that's history there. So, are you going to watch all the games, or watch some of the games, or none?
For me, like I'll probably be watching as much as I can. Like once again, like I watch probably way more Dr. Mario than most people expect. I'm always in someone's stream lurking.
Yeah.
Even if I'm not actively watching, Just looking over to seeing like what kind of combos they're setting up, how they're placing pills, what's their priorities. There's a lot you can learn just from watching, and I think that's another way people can improve is just watching to see like every single time I see a pill pop out, I think where would I place this?
Yeah.
Just to see the difference and being like, why did they place this here? And then just kind of seeing the puzzle unfold as to what they're doing. And so I just love watching all these different play styles. I know there's some people if you just put a blind name bracket and just seeing the ways people play, you can almost decipher who is playing at any given time, and it's pretty amazing to just think about that alone.
Yeah.
Is people's unique play styles and how successful they are in those play styles.
I feel like not just the play styles, but the way that the pills move. You know, in particular, Frank, if you the way you'll see pills rip left and right, uh, he is probably one of the most unique pill maneuverers, if that's a word, which it's gonna be now.
Yeah, like I take a lot of inspiration from Frank's playstyle, mostly probably because I watch him the most. He streams the most,
Mm-hmm.
and so I've been trying to like work on my tuck plays and just trying to like maneuver the pills faster and like more like digging deep. When I first started playing, I just been like a top line kind of player, just never looking beneath the top virus. And now that I'm like putting more into the focus on what can I do with this pill to make it work, to get the most efficiency out of it. And mistakes happen. You accidentally panini something, put it between two different viruses, and
Yeah.
just make it worse for yourself. But it's just part of the getting better and just try to push your boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
push your comfort zone.
I typically work at the very start of the tournament on Saturday, so those games I miss out, but I try to watch as much as the rest as I can. Like you said, it's really fun to watch and learn, and the commentary is also a great aspect that can help improve, because it's like another voice that can provide some direction. You know, you've got your input about where you think the pill should go. You've got the player's decision, but you also have the commentator saying, "Well, I don't know about that placement." But I think that my pick for the December finals would probably be Floyd. Um, like you said, Frank is undefeated, and that certainly carries a lot of weight. But Floyd recently just put up a new PB as of this morning, as we're recording, of hitting that 36-minute, 59 seconds, but 36-minute time. That is just incredibly strong. I think that he is improving and operating right now on a very strong level. And I think that he can potentially carry some of that momentum to this weekend.
Yeah, and on the most improved player, he was one of the people who voted for that, and I believe it. Seeing like his progress over the year as well, he's just a monster to reckon with. He's always winning the weekly checkups, if not second place,
Yeah.
and he's winning monthlies a lot of the time, or at least making the finals, and it's his improvement is scary as well.
You typically think of the most improved player as the award that you give to the kid who like doesn't really fall into the other categories on the sports team, but all of us, like, there was a lot of competition for most improved player, not just in the silver bracket, but like you said, Floyd, he's number 3 in the world, and he's improved so much. Everyone over the course of the year has been pushed to improve, with just more players becoming more competitive and more competent at the game. So hopefully this weekend we'll be able to avoid any paninis. We won't see any of those phantom flips and extra movement from the controller, and we'll just see clean, fun Dr. Mario, but well, no buts, I suppose.
But even if that does happen, you want to see how the best players adapt to their mistakes.
Yes,
There's a butt for you.
there's a but. Like you said, well, if there are misflips, we'll probably see some of the best recoveries that Dr. Mario is capable of. Well, thanks again for being on the podcast, Don. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
And thank you at home for listening in. As always, until next week in Dr. Mario and in life, bless RNG.